again, Dexter fandom. Dare I say it, my power of foresight has struck again. In my episode for review, I had predicted that Dexter was going to frame Mia, Lady Vengeance, for the murder of the Harrison victim. I didn't predict it to happen as quickly. I thought it was going to be more of a dilemma for Dexter. I really thought that he was going to start developing feelings for Mia, and he was going to be faced with a really difficult dilemma between stay with Mia or save Harrison, and will have to make the noble sacrifice decision of framing his love interest or someone that he's falling for to save his son. But the writers gave Dexter the easy way out once more and had this reveal that Mia wasn't actually this heroic kind of figure, vigilante, but she is bloodthirsty and just a cold-blooded serial killer like the other guys. And all of a sudden, it just made Dexter's choice a lot easier. I really liked the way that I thought about it better. Of course, I'm biased here. I wanted him to have a harder decision to make than just the easy way out of, you know what, she's bad, I want to get rid of her, I want to save Harrison, just easy, you know? I really wanted him to start kind of developing feelings for her, and I wanted her to continue to be this vigilante, kind of like pure, in a sense, type of person who he really connects with, like in the beginning when he connected with Miguel or with Lumen or something of the sort, and then or with Lila even. I said that Mia is kind of like Lila 2.0 in my previous video. And then having to be faced with a big, challenging dilemma of, do I throw her under the bus to save Harrison, and having to do the right thing. I didn't expect it to happen so quickly, and I didn't expect him to have such an easy way out. Once again, Dexter just seems to have easy ways of just getting out of things. But I still liked, of course, that my prediction, of course, the foreshadowing was laid out very well in episode 4, that, you know, we had the watch and we had the Harrison problem, and who he exactly, the type of person that he killed aligns very well with Mia's MO. So it was, you know, the writing was in the pudding, or whatever the expression is. I just didn't expect it to happen as quickly, and I didn't expect that turn in Mia's character to happen so quickly, and for Dexter to right away realize that she's bad, I need to get rid of her, in simple Dexter fashion. Since I'm on a tangent of complaining here, one of the things I didn't like about the episode is very, very small, but it was Dexter's monologue commenting on Mia's look and how he found her attractive. That is not on par for the Dexter that we know. The Dexter that we know from the original show, even in Original Sin, doesn't really have much of a radar for how women look or attractiveness or anything like that. Typically, he's attracted to either a damsel in distress because she can serve a purpose for him, or there's something animalistic, or, you know, how he was attracted to Hannah, for example, was because he wanted to kill her. How he was attracted to Lila was because of the chaos going on around her. I don't think we've ever had him having an internal monologue commenting or objectifying someone, or commenting on the way somebody looks. I don't think he has much of a radar for that, the Dexter that we know. So here in his internal monologue saying, well, you know, something of the sort of, she's not bad looking either, or something like that, really felt out of character for him. Another thing on the complaint train, when Mia brought the person into her home, she's a serial killer who's been getting away with murder for a long time. She didn't notice that her curtains were open, curtains that were exposing a window to another building, and anyone could see what was happening in clear beam light. There was a strong light on the opposite end of the other building. How does a methodical serial killer not notice that the shades or the curtains on one of the biggest, most important parts of the house was completely wide open for anyone to see, and that she would get exposed if anyone just looked out of their window? That was sloppy and not believable writing for someone who's been getting away with murder for a very long time. Now, the scene between Dexter and Harrison, when Dexter brought Harrison back to his home and had the heart to heart conversation with him and kind of started laying out how Dexter's first kill went and the relief that he was feeling, and just coming to realize that Harrison is different and that Harrison's kills so far, or the times where he acted out, were out of pure necessity as opposed to kind of premeditated, bloodthirsty, methodical way that Dexter has. And that Harrison is experiencing some level of guilt in one way or another, and that Harrison has a conscience. And for Dexter to sit with that and accept that he's going to be different, and kind of start planning that he's no longer going to try to mold Harrison into a Dexter 2.0, but rather let him live his life and try to salvage as much as possible of his life at this point in time. I got teary-eyed during that conversation. It was touchy. When Harrison reached out for Dexter's hand, I thought that was pretty heartfelt. I really got teary-eyed, and I felt good for both of them to kind of find their way toward each other. Which brings me to the topic of Batista and my Dexter Resurrection wish list. So I am really curious here and really hoping to see Batista starting to slowly but surely realize that Dexter is a lot more complex and nuanced than black and white serial killer who causes a lot of chaos and destruction. And it's almost like we as the audience have identified with Batista one way or another. I think a lot of the audience really love the character of Batista because he's kind of like the epitome of a cop who has a moral code, who is, a good guy. Typically, we all kind of like to forget that he cheated on his wife in like the first couple of seasons or something like that, and that he was a ladies' man. But disregarding that, as a cop, he seems to be the moral compass of the show. And it seems that a lot of us, the audience, identify with him as the moral compass of the show. And so I'm really, really wanting to see Batista almost act like the proxy of us, the audience, and go through the same dilemma, the same moral dilemma that we grapple with as the audience watching Dexter, and recognizing that we all root for him, we all love him, we are here for a reason, watching season God knows how many, and continuing to show up and continuing to watch the show, while at the same time recognizing that Dexter causes pain and suffering and destruction to the people that he loves. And I really want Batista to see Batista grapple with this moral dilemma, and recognizing slowly but surely that everything that Dexter does has a moral code and has a motivation, and him now recognizing that Dexter will go to extra lengths to save his son Harrison, and realizing that he will do whatever to help the people that he cares about. And unfortunately, casualties are going to happen. Unfortunately, chaos will ensue. In that, although there's people that Batista loved, like LaGuerta and Deb and Dokes, who suffered the consequences of Dexter's actions, that it's a lot more nuanced than just black and white. It's a lot more nuanced than Dexter is just a villain. Almost like when we talk about the Marvel universe or DC universe, where a superhero comes into town to save the city, but also causes a lot of chaos and destruction along the way. We're going to recognize that anytime that you're trying to save innocence or save the world or do something heroic, there's going to be a kind of like a shadow face of that good action that you're doing. There's always going to be some level of chaos, some level of destruction. Almost like you call the Hulk into a city to save it. He's gonna be smashing some stuff along the way, and people are gonna die. And every time that we're watching one of the big superhero fights, whatever city they show up in, we know the city is going to be destroyed, absolutely destroyed. There's going to be cars flying and people dying and all of that type of stuff in the spirit of saving the world. So I really want to see Batista grapple with the same moral dilemma that we as the audience grapple with. You kind of root for this guy, at the same time you feel really bad for the people who have to suffer the consequences of his actions and his selfishness. At the same time, it's a lot more nuanced than that. And I wonder if we're going to I wonder if the plot line is paving the way for Batista to start slowly but surely regain kind of like a soft spot for Dexter, or a better understanding of why he does what he does, and that some of it is coming from, I mean, of course, some of it is a disguise and kind of like a cover for his true desires to just kill people, but that a lot of it is also motivated by him trying to save innocent people. And unfortunately, casualties will happen. And I really want to see Batista grapple with that moral dilemma of, do I understand where he's coming from, and do I try to help him become a better person, or do I kind of catch him, and instead of playing this cat and mouse game, gain a more kind of like a deeper understanding of each other's characters. That's on my Dexter Resurrection wish list right now. Now we get a little bit of a teaser for Leon Prater's character and Charlie's character. From the first few episodes, we get the gist that Charlie hates serial killers. So I'm really curious about her relationship with Leon and why she is so loyal to him. We understand that he is not a killer, so it makes sense. And he pays her a ton of money, so it makes sense that she works for him. But I feel like there's more of a relationship between the two of them. I don't know. Are they foster siblings? Are they sister brother? We see that Charlie has a mom who's in the hospital who thinks Charlie is a fourth grade teacher or whatever, and she has this whole cover story for her life. But I'm curious, it feels the bond between them has to be beyond money, because there's so much loyalty that Charlie has for Leon despite her frowning upon what he does and her really being disgusted by serial killers. So I'm really curious to see that. We also understand that Charlie has a code. She is also a cold-blooded killer, but she has a code and she hates people who just kill for no reason. So there is a connection there between Charlie and Dexter. But I'm really curious about the connection between Charlie and Leon. I feel like, are they siblings? Did they grow up in the same foster home? What's the situation with Charlie's mother, and how is she connected? Is the mother in a way connected to Leon, or was Leon a foster kid with Charlie's family, and that's how they have this connection, and that's why she understands his pain and his trauma, and she is willing to turn kind of like another eye to what he is doing. But I really feel that there's a link there that we're missing so far. Also, something about Leon and foster homes. I know they mentioned that a couple of times. We can see that Leon is, gets off on his accolades and achievements. We saw him having dinner, watching and rewatching and replaying some parts of the interview that he had with the lady about him being a success, an absolute kind of success, coming from the very humble beginnings that he came from. So there's more there for us to explore, but I feel like the idea of him coming from foster homes was drilled in a couple of times. That's certainly a foreshadowing for something, and I wonder if that has a connection to Harrison, given that Harrison bounced from foster home to foster home when he came to America after Hannah's death. I wonder if he crossed paths with Harrison in one way or another, or was maybe kind of a donor for one of the foster homes that Harrison. It's kind of unlikely if Harrison was in Miami and Leon has been in New York City for the most of his life. I also wonder if there's a connection to Brian Moser there, as they both kind of grew up around the same timeline and were both in and out of foster homes. So there's something there about the foster home. Not sure if it's going to link back to either Harrison, Brian, or if it's going to link back to just Charlie and Charlie's family maybe taking on Leon, and that creating the connection between the two of them. We also know that Christian Camargo was on the set of Dexter Resurrection, so we know that we're going to see the older Brian Moser at some point. I'm not sure if we're going to see him as a in his. Of course, we're going to see him in his ghost form, but we don't know if we're going to see him in Dexter's psyche when he's having an internal dialogue as a replacement for Harry. Maybe we get Brian Moser, or maybe if we see him in some sort of an interaction with Leon Prater. I'm not sure what will happen there, but we know Leon Prater went to foster homes, and we know Brian Moser is coming back in Dexter Resurrection. So I'm not sure if that's going to be connected or if it's just completely random, separate things. So overall, episode 5 laid the foundation for some things. There were some Easter eggs there that we're gonna have to pay attention to that will come to fruition at some point. I really like that they wrapped up the Mia thing with Dexter. I was really worried that that was gonna be kind of like a romance storyline for a few episodes or for some of the season, just for him to throw her under the bus afterwards for Harrison. So I'm glad that they wrapped it up. Although I didn't want it to happen so quickly, I'm glad they wrapped it up. I'm not sure what's gonna happen with Mia, but I feel like knowing Dexter writers, I feel like they're gonna have to get rid of her soon, because if she speaks to anyone, they're gonna start realizing that the last person she saw was Red, and the last person she talked to was him, and the Miami, him sharing with her that he grew up in Miami, and that's going to kind of blow up Dexter's cover. I feel like since the Dexter writers like to kind of take the easy way out sometimes, or wrap things up very quickly, or give him an easy way out, I feel like they're going to take care of her. She's going to be dead in the next couple of episodes, or she's going to disappear somehow. Something's going to happen to Mia where she's not going to have the opportunity to speak or to put the pieces together about who Dexter really is. All right, those are my thoughts on episode 5. There was quite a bit there. They definitely laid the foundation for a couple of things to happen and move the plot forward in the right direction. Please leave a comment. Let me know what you think about my Batista wish list. If you also agree that we need just more juice and more nuance than just black and white and just a simple cat and mouse game between the two main characters right now of this season. And let me know what you also think about some possible theories for Leon Prater's character and his potential connection to Brian or to Harrison potentially. All right, see you in the next video.